እስካሁን ቤተሰብ ካልሆናችሁ ሰብስክራይብ ያድርጉ።
That means press the subscribe button.
My greatest achievement in life has to be hands down my 3 kids and marrying my high school sweetheart. Because marriage is not easy, and we've been through a hell of a lot. And knowing all that, the fact that I still get to wake up to him every single morning, the fact that even though he drives me insane, that I still love him to my core, I see that as an achievement. And how he makes me happy, and I know I make him happy, I see that as an achievement. And then the fact that together, him and I, we've created these 3 beautiful human beings that bring so much joy into the world, that is my greatest achievement. Shortcuts to handle frustration and stress. Boy, that's a big question. I don't think there are any shortcuts. Shortcuts is it's a tricky word, because I feel like when you take a shortcut, you're always a risk. There's just risk in everything, but it's easier to get lost. But anyways, when I am frustrated and when I am stressed, I typically think of reevaluating my steps, right? Like, what got me here? What could I learn from this? What can I do better? Because I want to take every single situation that happens in my life as a lessons learned. And I'm really big on this, and I talk about it a lot on my blog and my podcast, because this is something that I started doing post-COVID, when I realized that I was letting the outside world really take a toll on me. And so many things happened at the same time that I felt so frustrated and so stressed that I couldn't handle everything that was on my plate. So I was like, okay, this is where we take a break. So I turned off everything. I stopped writing. I stopped all work on Luwame.com, and I attended fully to my kids. And in that process, I started not only tending to them, but to me as well. And these are the 3 questions that I really asked myself. What got me here? What am I learning from this? What can I do better? I think knowing these 3 questions and answers helps me through anything in life, whether it's business aspect or in my marriage, in my life. My greatest supporter in my business would have to be my husband, Beanie. He hands down is the person that stays up with me to read over a blog, or when I'm thinking about podcast topics, he'll sit down and argue certain things with me, just so I can get, like, we can play devil's advocate together. And I trust his opinion wholeheartedly, because I know that he's looking out for me with the greatest intentions. That I face is changing over from mom to entrepreneur to wife to friend to this, that, and everything. It's taking off one hat, putting on another hat. And like I told you, routines do help, yes, but there are so many times where a client call that was supposed to last 20 minutes, is now lasting 40 minutes. And I don't have the heart to tell that client, I can't talk anymore, right? But I have my 3-year-old yanking at me, right? Because she wants my attention. And so those moments are extremely challenging, because I want to do right by my clients, but I also want to do right by my kids. And I don't want my kids to think that mom may be physically here, but she's not mentally here because she's so busy working. I don't want them to ever have that in the back of their head. I want them to see me working. I want them to see me working hard, so that they know that they need to work hard as well. But I don't want them to think that they've been neglected. And so making sure that I am physically and present all the time is very challenging. So how I make it work is that I'm very upfront with my clients and with the kids. And, I tell even my 3-year-old, I'll explain to her, hey, when mommy is behind those glass doors, she's creating magic. She's helping a woman create magic. And therefore, we really have to be quiet, because mommy can't be, I have to be there with her. But once I'm off this call, then you and I, we can create our own magic, right? And we can do all kinds of things together. And she's impatient. She'll stand by my door and she'll be like, hello, it's mommy and me time, right? But we're a work in progress, right? And I find it so funny. And it's funny because the moms that I train, they find it funny as well. They're like, oh, Lord. But we make it work. We make it work. Hey, who knows COVID? Who knew COVID was going to hit? Who knew I'd be working from home? Who knew, that all this was going to be a thing, right? So, and we made it work. And so my biggest challenge is making it work. But I do it slowly through time and through different practices, right? And that was just one example. So my favorite website currently, where I go for everything food-wise, because this is my favorite food website, would have to be Living with Lena. Livin with WITHLEENA. And Lena is she's an amazing health coach. She puts on these amazing recipes and they're easy to make, and the kids love it, it's healthy, and I love it. And so I think her website is probably the most one that I go on every day. She's on my favorites on my phone. My top 3 apps that I go to every single day would be Google Calendar, Big 3, which is where I write down Commit to 3. It's called Commit to 3. And then oh my gosh, this should have been my first one. My Bible app. That's my favorite app. My devotionals are on there. My prayer groups are on there. Everything. That's the first thing I open when I open my phone every day. So the 3 things I'd bring with me if I was to get teleported to a desert island would be my laptop, even though there's no internet, but I can still write, right? Definitely a book. And my 3rd thing would be, actually, X out the laptop. I would take a notebook, because I'd want to physically write. So I'd have a notebook. I would have a book to read, and then I would have a pen. If I had a magic stick, the 3 things that I would change would be, I would bring my father back from the dead. I would, oh my gosh, I would keep my kids as kids. I would keep them from growing. I want them like cute little 3-year-olds. And then, let's see, the 3rd thing I would do would be, my husband and I built our house, right? And there's so many flaws I find with it, as like we live in it daily. And I would take a magic stick and I would correct everything that I see. I'm actually currently writing a book about my grandmother's life. It's a fiction book, but the baseline of it is my grandmother's story. Now, if I was to write a book about my story, I would definitely call it, let's see, I would call it, wow, and then this happened. Because so many things keep happening. You know, like, I was born, I lived back in Ethiopia, I lived in America, I lived in Eritrea, and I lived in Eritrea during the war, so that's a story in itself. And then I got married to my high school sweetheart, my dad died, I had a baby, you know what I mean? So many things, I went through a near divorce, like so many things happened, so I would definitely name it, and then this happened.